All right, so there's 5 days until the election, and I wanted to talk a bit about Hunter Biden's laptop. There's a number of different things, tangent points that I think are that should come about when you just imagine the whole um, way this fits into the political landscape. What does it mean? All these different implications. Uh, the thing that I think we should point out, what should be uh, demonstrably true, is that there is definitely a media fix on seedy political information because the information that is alleged to be on this laptop and the way that the origin of it is expressed is such that it should not be ignored. It just shouldn't be ignored. And the fact that we were incessantly treated to Russia dossier the way that we were, when if you looked at the details of that, I mean, okay, so think let's just walk this through a little bit. The Russian dossier was known to be created by a guy who was paid by a law firm for a political strategy company that worked for the Hillary Clinton campaign. That is not what you have with the Biden, the Hunter Biden laptop. Now, one could argue that because Giuliani is involved, you have that. But the problem with that is that you have somebody who comes out and says, this is Hunter Biden's laptop. He brought it here. He left it here and never came back for it. It became my property. I mean, the story is one that, you know, if you don't ignore that, if you're the media, you go, okay, let's talk about the story. Who is this person? The fact that they're ignoring it tells me that the media thinks that it's true and that they don't want to go into the actual origin of this. Instead, they just say that it's a Russian thing. The Russians again. I mean, um, I think that what is an what is amazing to me, and I feel this way a lot, and so this is just more information added to it, that I don't know how people vote can vote for the left in this day and age. I don't understand it. You cannot claim that they're for the little guy. You know, everything that they say that they're for, everything that they say that they care about, something comes to light which proves they don't care about that at all. Because listen, the whole point of them going after Trump was to say two things: that they cared about a corrupt president. They didn't want a corrupt president, and we should be wary of a corrupt president, which is true. And they didn't want foreign interference manipulating our system. So when you think about that, this situation has all of that. You have a scenario in which the son of the guy that's running for the presidency looks to be receiving money possibly for that guy, on behalf of that guy. I mean, this is what you're seeing. Hunter Biden has no reason to be getting money from Ukraine, to be getting money from China. There is no skill that he possesses. This is influence peddling and money laundering, right? I mean, they're getting, this is quid pro quo for sure. There is nothing that Hunter Biden offers that is being paid for other than the fact that he's the son of the vice president. This, of course, this is true. Now, if it's true, right? If the laptop's true, and the fact that they just go Russia, I mean, like just saying like the word Russia is somehow a magic eraser is so strange to me. Um, it I think that's all they can do, right? I mean, they've started this narrative now where it's the Russians that are doing this. Here's the thing, though. I said that it undoes what they said that you thought they cared about, or that they said they cared about. They cared about foreign interference. But here's the foreign interference that's going on with the laptop and what this proves. China's involved. So it's obvious deflection, right? Because they don't mind being influenced by China. And so what they're, and this is something that I've said before, they project everything the left does, they accuse the others of doing. So when they were accusing Trump for working with Russia, my thought was they're working with Russia. Um, but it's obvious that they don't want to implicate who they're really working for. So the projection was foreign influence. They are influenced by a foreign nation. It just isn't Russia because they didn't want to give up China. And remember that Dianne Feinstein, too, had a spy working for her for, I think, for 25 years. And, you know, this was probably like 4 years ago or something when this broke. When that story broke, I said to myself when I listened to that and read this, I said, nah, you know what? Dianne Feinstein knew what was going on. The idea that he was a spy itself was a cover up. To me, this is just my opinion on it. I thought, no, she's just being paid by China. And now that somehow the information got out, they had to let that go. And then it's a spy. You know, it's a spy scenario. So uh, this kind of gives you an idea about how much to one of the things that needs to be talked about in regards to this Hunter Biden laptop is how much influence China has in our, not just our election, but in society in general. I mean, the idea, first of all, they own a ton of Twitter. They own a ton of the NBA. They're buying up tons of real estate. And if you just think about, and here's the implication. Here's the implication. Because I always wondered about this. Why do the Democrats? Why did they roll with Biden? This is a guy who couldn't become the nominee when he was viable. Like before, when he had his faculties, Biden couldn't become the nominee, and somehow he gets the nominee now. And I never could understand that. Like, I don't agree with his policies, obviously, but I understood Obama. It was like Obama was a really charismatic guy. That's, you want somebody like that. I understood Hillary because you're breaking the glass ceiling, and you've got, even though she was a horrible human being and a terrible character, you she paid her due to the party, and you could ride that female thing. Biden's old white guy, and he seems to have dementia, and it never made sense to me. Now I understand it, I think. And it's that China wants this guy because China's bought and paid for him. So we're electing China's approved man. He is the approved man for China. He will do China's bidding. And that, I think, is what's going on. And even the election of Kamala Harris, and this is sort of really loosely tangential to the point, but I mean, San Francisco's Chinatown's pretty substantial. So, I mean, if you think about a Chinese city in the United States, San Francisco is maybe the biggest. You know, San Francisco's Chinatown is pretty substantial. So, if you could imagine sort of a hub of Chinese influence, it's interesting that Biden chooses someone from that city too. So it's instead of Russia, 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 it's China, China, China. And the other thing I think that, obvious, I did a video a while back explaining, the hypocrisy is unbelievable because, you know, they were impeaching Trump for making a phone call that they said was blackmailing Ukraine when the Democrats were doing this, when they were putting a guy to be the presidential nominee who bragged about blackmailing Ukraine. That's another thing that just jumped out at me. And if you take the Hunter Biden laptop and add it to the equation, you see that what this does is substantiate that deal. It substantiates what was going on. So before we just had the China thing was sort of talked about a little bit, but it was the Ukraine thing because idiot Joe Biden is sitting there on tape talking about how he blackmailed the Ukraine to get rid of the prosecutor that was investigating the company that was paying his son and was paying him, by the way. Obviously that's what was going on. So that's the thing that is also interesting about that. And here's the thing, just like politically, sort of that I think also should be talked about. One of the things that happens is this idea of how do I say this? The race card is played by the Democrats, right? I mean, obviously Joe Biden said, if you don't vote for him, you're black. You're not black, right? So, all black people should be voting for Joe Biden, according to Joe Biden. So they love playing the race card, and white privilege is often talked about. So here's the thing: Hunter Biden. So think about how this works, right? Hunter Biden's father passed the 1994 crime bill that was infamous for locking black people up for crack cocaine charges, putting them in jail, for life in some cases, for possession charges. His son is doing crack and he gets millions of dollars from foreign countries. That is the privilege that's being spoke about. And it shouldn't be white privilege. If you want to call it that, that's fine, but understand that it's democratic white privilege, okay? It's elitist white privilege. The Republicans, some of the Republicans are involved too. It's not a party thing, but the point is that, the Democrats have the baggage. The Democrats created the KKK. The Democrats fought a civil war to keep blacks enslaved. So, the baggage is mostly theirs. And the Democrats are the Democrat nominee is saying black people are supposed to vote for him, as if black people aren't individuals. And they're the ones that push the white privilege narrative. But so guess who has the white privilege? They do. So you see how this works. These are the things that ought to be illuminated by this Hunter Biden laptop stuff. There's probably a lot more that I'm not even thinking about right now that I've thought about before, but so that's the gist of what I wanted to say in regards to the laptop stuff. So, if you enjoyed it, like, share, blah, 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 blah.